The way this offseason is starting to shape up, it feels like we're standing at one of those crossroads moments as 49ers fans. Because on one side, there's this massive question about the future of our receiver room, and on the other side, there's a name being floated that could completely change the energy of this offense overnight. Two different reports, two very different paths, but both connected to one big thing. Are we really all in on keeping this Super Bowl window wide open for Brock Purdy? Or are we about to get cautious? We've already got weapons, no doubt, but something shifted. An injury, a possible breakup that feels inevitable, a room that suddenly doesn't feel as deep as it used to. And now, a superstar just hit the market at the exact moment we might need one. That's not random, that's timing. And the crazy part? The move being discussed isn't just about adding talent. It's about risk, health, money, philosophy. It's about whether this front office wants to take a swing or play it safe. If you're a real 49ers fan, you already feel it. This offseason isn't normal. Before we get into the details, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. 49ers Nation Report is still new, and I only want the real ones here. The fans who truly believe we're going back to the Super Bowl next year. If that's you, you're in the right place. Let's talk about what just happened. The San Francisco 49ers are being linked to none other than Tyreek Hill after his release from the Miami Dolphins on February 16th. Yeah, that Tyreek Hill. And before anyone says this is just off-season noise or star chasing, let's actually look at the context, because this didn't come out of nowhere. We all know the receiver room isn't as stable as it looked a year ago. Brandon Ayuk is coming off a torn ACL, and let's be honest, the vibe around his situation doesn't exactly scream long-term future in San Francisco. There's been distance, there's been tension, and after a major knee injury, that split feels more inevitable than ever. So suddenly what used to be a strength feels uncertain. And that's why Hill's name actually makes football sense. Not because we're desperate for headlines, but because of fit. Think about how Kyle Shanahan builds his offense. It's all about stress, pre-snap motion, play action, timing throws, yak, making defenders hesitate for half a second. Tyreek doesn't just create hesitation, he creates panic. Even at 32 years old, he turns 32 on March 1st. His speed alone forces safeties to back up. Corners can't squat on routes. Defenses can't cheat downhill. He changes spacing without even touching the ball. And we've all watched games where defenses started crowding the middle of the field, daring us to beat them deep. That's when things get tight. That's when Brock Purdy has to be perfect. Hill fixes geometry. Even in what people called a down year by his standards in 2024, he still put up 81 catches, 959 yards, and 6 touchdowns in 17 games. That's a down year? Career-wise, he's sitting at 819 receptions, 11,363 yards, and 83 receiving touchdowns. That's elite production. And he's a Super Bowl champion. But, and this is the part we can't ignore, the medical. According to reports, he suffered a dislocated knee and tore multiple ligaments, including his ACL on September 29, 2025. That required surgery. That's not a minor thing. That's serious. So if the Niners even explore this, it cannot be some emotional splash signing. It would have to be structured smart, short-term deal, per-game active bonuses, roster protections, incentives tied to yards, catches, playtime postseason, availability-based money. Basically, pay him if he's healthy and producing. Protect yourself if he's not. That's the only way this becomes a calculated football move instead of a vibes move. And here's where I stand as a fan. If the medical checks out, if the contract protects us, I'd absolutely take that bet. Because imagine Hill's speed in this system, creating explosive plays without needing perfect protection. Opening space underneath for crossers and screens, forcing defenses to declare man or zone pre-snap. That's a nightmare for opponents. But here's why it might not happen. The market. As soon as he was released, multiple reports said teams are lining up. NFL Network mentioned he's expected to have plenty of interest. Pro Football Talk even listed several teams that should give him a look. This won't be a quiet bidding room. And then there's philosophy. The 49ers often prefer spreading resources across multiple needs instead of making one huge swing, especially when you're talking about a 32-year-old receiver coming off a major knee injury. So, the bottom line? Should we sign Tyreek Hill? Only if it's priced like an upside gamble, not a superstar splurge. If it's structured right, his speed in Shanahan's system is the kind of move that can literally change the geometry of the field. If it's not, then we walk away and get younger and faster another way. But here's the thing. Tyreek Hill isn't the only veteran wide receiver being connected to San Francisco right now. And the second name being floated? Completely different style, different age profile, different risk, and honestly, might make even more sense depending on how you look at it. Let's talk about that next. So now let's talk about the second name that's being predicted for San Francisco. And this one feels very different. We're talking about Mike Evans from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 6-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, 12 straight seasons with Tampa, and one of the most consistent wide receivers of this entire era. This isn't about speed like Tyreek. This is about reliability, size, professionalism, stability. And after the way 2025 ended, stability sounds pretty good. Let's not sugarcoat it. We finished the regular season 12-5, which on paper is strong. Top 4 passing offense in the league. But then we got absolutely embarrassed in the playoffs by the Seattle Seahawks 41-6. 41-6. That wasn't just a loss. That was a wake-up call. And part of the issue? Injuries wrecked us again. Brandon Ayuk went down after 11 games. George Kittle also suffered a season-ending injury after 11 games. When your top targets disappear, the offense might still move the ball statistically, but it loses its edge. That's why analysts are saying Evans could be a breath of fresh air. Hayden Winks from Underdog Fantasy literally said this pairing makes sense for both sides. Evans goes back to a contender, and the 49ers get a mature wide receiver they can build around. And when you look at Evans' resume, it's hard to argue. 12-year career, 6 Pro Bowls, a Super Bowl ring, over 1,000 receiving yards in every single season except one. And in 2023, he posted an impact score of 84.1, the best of his career. That's not a declining player hanging on. That's sustained production. The difference between Evans and Hill is risk profile. Evans isn't coming off a multi-ligament knee tear. He's not built on pure speed. His game ages better. Size, catch radius, red zone dominance. At 6'5", he gives Brock Purdy something we don't consistently have. A true contested catch monster outside the numbers. Imagine 3rd and long. Imagine red zone. Imagine when defenses clog the middle and dare us to win one-on-one outside. Evans wins those. And emotionally, there's something about adding a veteran who's been the guy for 12 years in one place. That's leadership. That's playoff experience. That's maturity in a room that suddenly feels thin. But again, this comes down to priorities. If we go after Evans, that likely means committing real money in free agency. It means deciding that the receiver room needs a proven anchor, not just depth. And it sends a message. It says the front office believes this 12-5 team wasn't far off. It was just wounded. That with better health and one stabilizing piece, we're right back in the Super Bowl conversation in 2026. So what's next? If the 49ers truly see the receiver room as thin, and let's be honest, after Ayuk's injury and the way the depth chart shifts year to year with guys like Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall, then free agency has to be a priority. Evans would be the safer bet. Hill would be the explosive gamble. Two completely different paths. And when you zoom out, that's what this offseason is really about. Are we making the bold, high-risk swing? Or are we making the steady, championship-caliber addition? Because both names being linked to us tells me one thing. The front office knows standing still isn't an option. And when you connect both stories, Hill's upside gamble and Evans' proven consistency, what does it say about where we are right now? It says this window is still open. It says Brock Purdy is the guy. It says we're not rebuilding. We're recalibrating. This isn't a desperate team. It's a team trying to stay in Super Bowl mode. And as a fan, that gives me hope. But it also makes this offseason feel huge. One wrong contract, one misread medical, one overpay, and things get tight fast. One smart move, and suddenly we're right back where we belong, competing for a Lombardi. So now I want to hear from you. If you had to choose, are you taking the calculated speed gamble with Tyreek or the proven steady dominance of Mike Evans? Drop your take in the comments. And if you're still riding with this team, if you truly believe we're going back to the Super Bowl next year, hit that like button and subscribe to 49ers Nation Report. The channel's new, and I only want real 49ers fans here. The ones who stick through the tough losses and still believe the red and gold are built for January. We're not done, not even close.